Okay. Another thing that thin people do is they learn to talk back to negative thinking, and you need to do that too. So for example, you're going along, you've had 3 really good days, and then all of a sudden you eat something you're not supposed to, and you get all depressed. Oh my God, I blew it. What am I going to do? Well, you must learn to think thin. So instead of saying, well, I blew it, I might as well just go ahead and eat the rest of the cake, you say, okay, that wasn't the best choice I could have made. But you know what? It's only noon. I have the rest of the day, and I'm going to do well for the rest of the day. So you pick up at the moment. You don't wait till Monday. All right. So I also want you to think about the fact that you have accomplished a lot of things in your life. You've accomplished a lot of hard things in your life. Losing weight and keeping it off. Remember, keeping it off is the goal, not losing the weight is another one of those goals. I love Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey wrote 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One of the things that he says is you have to begin with the end in mind. Let me use education as an example. If you have a college degree or even a high school degree, you didn't start high school or college saying, you know what, I want this degree and I want it tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. You had to make a plan. You had to begin with the end in mind. The degree was the end in mind. Then you have to work backwards. You have to say, okay, I have to take these classes. I can only take this many classes in this semester. You sign up for those classes. In each class you have homework. Every night you do the homework. So you begin at the end in the mind and you work backwards. Same is true with your weight loss. I want to be at a healthy weight for the rest of my life. I have to lose that weight, and in order to do that I have to do this, 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 and this. So you begin with the end in mind. You start back here and you do those things every day. You don't get a degree or a diploma overnight. You don't lose your weight overnight either. Okay, so begin with the end in mind. Acknowledge the goal, accept the fact that you're going to have to work toward it, and then implement what needs to be done to do it. Back to the AA thing for a minute. When people go to AA, they're told things like, go to meetings, go to AA meetings, stay out of bars, read the big book, get a sponsor. The people who do these things are successful with their sobriety. Other people want to try it their own way. Well, what's it going to hurt to have 1 beer? Or I'll just go to the bar and I won't drink. Those things don't work. The same thing applies to weight loss. Read everything you can by people who have had this, by doctors, by psychologists, by people who have been down the road before you, and do what they have done. Those are the tried and true things. When I hear people say things like, oh, I can eat whatever I want after the surgery, it terrifies me. Your doctor, your nutritionist don't say, go eat whatever you want. They tell you prescribed ways to do it. Do it that way. It works. Okay, the information that I'm about to share with you can be the key to your long-term success if you choose to use these things. I've gathered this information from a variety of sources, from the information at the Harvard conference, from a number of books that I've read on bariatric surgery, and from a man named Patrick Carnes. Patrick Carnes is a psychologist, and he works primarily, almost exclusively now, with people who are suffering from sex addiction. And he has come up with what he calls performables. He has, say, a list of 10 performables, and what he says is, if you do each one of these 10 performables or actions every day, you have a 100% chance of being free from your acting out on your addiction. If you do 5 of these performables every day, you have a 50% chance of being free from your addiction. If you do 2 of these, you have, you do the math. But the same thing pertains to what I refer to as gotta-do-ems for weight loss. I've come up with a list of 10 things, and I'll go through each of those with you in a minute. Now remember, most of the people in my pre-surgical interviews tell me I will do whatever it takes to lose this weight and to keep it off. For those of you who really mean it, the answer does lie in these 10 gotta-do-ems. All right, the first one. Write these down, memorize them, tattoo them on your arm, I don't care. But these are the things you have to do to lose your weight and to keep it off. The first one is make consistently healthy food choices. All right, what does that mean? When you have a pouch the size of an egg after your surgery, your food choices have got to count, because every single bite of food that goes into your body has got to count nutritionally. And the most important thing for you from now on will be to get enough protein. You're going to have approximately 60 grams of protein a day. Now your doctor and your nutritionist will tell you more specifically what that number is, but on the average about 60 grams of protein a day. You can get protein from a variety of sources: lean meat, fish, cottage cheese, eggs, beans, but the protein has got to be the number one thing that you're concerned about. So every time you sit down and eat, you want to make sure that you eat protein first. Then you want to get your vegetables, then you want to make sure you get fruit. Now remember, every bite needs to count nutritionally, because if you don't get enough protein, you'll be malnourished, you'll lose your hair, and that's no fun. You might have heard of the little saying that says, if it's white, don't bite. And I would say, just because you can eat something, in other words, your stomach may tolerate it, it doesn't mean you should eat it. White foods, for the most part, have very little or no nutritional value. So if something is made from white flour or primarily sugar, then there's really no need for you to put it in your body. People get into trouble this way, and sometimes even the doctor will say, somebody will say, well, can I eat grits, or can I eat rice? And the doctor will say, sure, you can eat grits or you can eat rice. But does that make it a sensible choice for you when you're thinking about every bite counting nutritionally? If it's white, don't bite, because foods like grits and mashed potatoes and rice have no nutritional value, so you might want to just forego those foods altogether. Having said that, let me address deprivation for a minute. Having weight loss surgery does not mean you have to deprive yourself of everything you love for the rest of your life. What it does mean is that you're going to have to think like a thin person and make really good choices. Kind of plan to eat really, 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 really well, like 90% of the time. That way, every couple of days, 3 or 4 days, you can allow yourself something that you really like in moderation. There may be some foods that have to go completely, and you're going to have to know yourself. For some people, they can have 2 or 3 spoonfuls of ice cream and they're completely satisfied. For other people, 1 bite of ice cream leads to the whole gallon being gone. So you have to know yourself. You may have to completely give up a food, and you may be the kind of person that, every 3 or 4 days, a couple of bites will do it. Okay, now, number 2. So the first thing is to protein first. The second one is to maintain portion control. The nutritionist will tell you that you need to eat no more than 1 cup of food 3 times a day. Now, when you first come out of surgery, you're not going to be able to eat that much anyway. Over time, though, your stomach pouch will relax and it will feel like you could eat more food. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. All right? So, no more than a cup of food ever at a time. So a cup of food isn't that much. And remember, you've got to do the protein first. You can eat a cup of mashed potatoes, or you can eat a cup of tuna. Which one's going to help your body? Think like a thin person. Which would I rather have? Go with the tuna. Okay, another thing that you need to do is you're going to have a whole new mindset. A meal has to be something different than what you traditionally think of a meal. All right, you may think of a meal as an appetizer, soup, salad, main dish, potato, vegetable, meat, dessert. That's not a meal anymore. A meal is now going to consist of a protein and a vegetable, or a protein and a fruit. Heck, a meal can be a protein bar. Oh, just a word about protein bars, by the way. Another woman I really offended, which I didn't mean to, but she told me she was now eating protein bars for breakfast. Well, her protein bar, in essence, was nothing more than a candy bar. It had 4 grams of protein and a lot of carbohydrates. So make sure you check the labels before you consider something a protein bar. A protein bar should have 10 or 20 grams of protein in it. All right. But portion control is going to be extremely important. That's your second got to do them.